Freedom means the right to assemble, organize, and debate openly. It means not taking citizens away from their loved ones and jailing them, mistreating them, or denying them their freedom or dignity because of peaceful expression or their ideas and opinions. Hillary Clinton. I believe in the right to peacefully protest, the freedom of assembly, which is under the First Amendment. The First Amendment states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The United States Supreme Court has withheld this for years. There has been some court cases that has ruled some differences in protest cases. Hague v. CIO from 1939. The Supreme Court ruled that peaceful demonstration and demonstrators may not be prosecuted for disorderly conduct. This case also secured streets and sidewalks as public forums. 1963's Edwards v. South Carolina. This decision ruled that a disorderly crowd, or the fear of one, cannot be used to stop a peaceful demonstration or cancel the right of peaceable assembly. The First Amendment is a very important right in our country. Without general elections, without freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, without the free battle of opinions, life in every public institution withers away, becomes a caricature of itself, and bureaucracy rises as the only deciding factor. Rosa Luxemburg. Protests have been used throughout time as changes in history, changes in injustices. The suffrage parade in 1913, in which more than 5,000 people were led through the streets of Washington, D.C. to fight for the right to women to vote. While this right was not granted until 7 years afterwards, this still was a pivotal moment in the fight. Another example is the Montgomery bus boycotts, in which Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat to a white passenger. This was a big moment in history, and a year later, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. In the late 1960s, the Delano grape boycott. Cesar Chavez advocated for peaceful boycotts, protests, and hunger strikes, which then led to legislative changes to end exploitative abuse of America's farm workers. Right now, our freedom of assembly is being threatened by not only President Trump and his administration, but also the police. You can find many examples of police using excessive force on peaceful protesters. In fact, this article from The Guardian stated several. In New York, officers who had intentionally covered their badge numbers pulled down the mask of a peaceful protester who had his hands up and pepper sprayed him in the face. In Salt Lake City, an older man with a cane was shoved to the ground. In Austin, police shot a pregnant woman in the stomach with a non-lethal round. President Trump and Attorney General Barr forcibly cleared peaceful protesters out of Lafayette Square on Monday evening, right before President Trump walked through to head to St. John's Episcopal Church for a photo op. Just a few days later, President Trump shared a letter on Twitter from his previous lawyer, John Boyd, in which the letter referred to those same protesters as terrorists. Right now, our world feels crazy. Our country feels like one of those dystopian novels in which no one is allowed to speak up. A quote I found from MLK signifies that. All we say to America is, be true to what you say on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia, or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these legal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges, because they hadn't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly, somewhere I read of the freedom of speech, somewhere I read of the freedom of the press, somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for right. Martin Luther King Jr. While this quote is regarding the rights of Memphis sanitation workers who are on strike, it can be applied here as well. I believe in the right to peacefully assemble, and I believe that this is a fundamental right in our country, and it needs to be protected. Thank you.